Picture this: Detroit, 1950. A little girl named Suzi Quatro picks up a bass guitar that's almost bigger than she is. No one knew it yet, but that same girl would grow up to redefine what it meant to be a woman in rock and roll. She wouldn't just sing, she'd command the stage, dressed in leather, wielding her bass like a weapon, and breaking through every barrier the industry tried to put in her way. From the start, music wasn't just part of Suzi Quatro's life, it was her life. Born into a family where rhythm filled every room, she grew up surrounded by melody, harmony, and the hum of creativity. Her father, Art Quatro, was a musician, and that constant buzz of sound gave young Suzi the courage to chase her own rhythm, one that would shake up the entire music scene. By her teenage years, she wasn't just dreaming about being on stage, she was already there, front and center, playing bass and singing in an all-girl garage band called the Pleasure Seekers, alongside her sisters. In an era when women were rarely allowed near the instruments, Suzi and her bandmates smashed expectations and made people listen. But the real turning point came in the early 1970s, when legendary British record producer Mickey Most saw something electric in her, that unmistakable spark of originality. He knew instantly, this wasn't just another performer. This was a revolution waiting to happen. And he was right. Suzi Quatro was about to take the world by storm. It was the kind of move that could make or break a career. And for Suzi Quatro, it did both, in the best way possible. Leaving America behind, she packed her dreams, her bass guitar, and her fearless spirit, and headed straight for the United Kingdom. A bold leap that would define everything that came after. While U.S. audiences were still unsure about women who dared to rock as hard as the men, the U.K. crowd didn't hesitate. They saw her fire, and they loved it. Then came 1973. Can to Can hit the airwaves like a thunderclap, raw, defiant, and unstoppable. It shot straight to #1 on the UK charts, selling over 2 million copies worldwide. Suddenly, Suzi Quatro wasn't just another name in rock, she was rock. Through the 1970s, she dominated the scene with explosive hits like 48 Crash, Devil Gate Drive, and The Wild One. Every note, every lyric, every pounding bass line screamed rebellion. And when she stepped on stage in that iconic leather jumpsuit, powerful, unapologetic, and dripping with attitude, she didn't just perform, she owned it. Suzi wasn't there to be eye candy or a gimmick. She was there to play, loud, fast, and fierce. And in doing so, she shattered the mold for every woman who ever picked up a guitar and dared to take center stage. She wasn't just a performer. She was a revolution in leather. She didn't just conquer rock and roll. She owned it. But Suzi Quatro wasn't the kind of woman to stop there. Just when fans thought they had her figured out, she flipped the script. In the mid-1970s, she swapped her bass guitar for a TV script and burst onto American screens as the fiery leather Tuscadero on Happy Days. Suddenly, millions who'd never seen her on stage were cheering her on from their living rooms. It was the perfect blend of attitude and charm, a rock star turned actress who never lost her edge. That move proved something powerful. Suzi Quatro wasn't just a singer, she was a full-blown entertainer. Her influence stretched beyond the charts. She became the spark that ignited a new generation of women in rock. Joan Jett, Chrissie Hynde, Debbie Harry, and the Runaways have all said it. Suzi showed them it could be done. Her leather-clad defiance told every girl watching, "You belong here too." Few artists can claim to have changed the face of rock and roll quite like Suzi Quatro. Her fearless attitude and unmistakable style didn't just break barriers, they inspired an entire generation. Countless musicians have admitted that Suzi's courage gave them the permission and confidence to chase their dreams in a world that had long been ruled by men. Her legacy isn't measured in only records sold, but in the cultural doors she kicked wide open for others to walk through. Without even trying, she became a role model, and in doing so, she rewrote what it meant to be a rock star, bold, unapologetic, and authentically herself.
Decades later, Suzi still refuses to hit pause. She's been touring, recording, and setting stages ablaze well into the 21st century, her fire undimmed. Albums like Back to the Drive 2006 and No Control 2019 reminded fans that her sound still packs the same punch it did in the 70s. Her voice still roars, her bass still thunders, and her energy still commands every room she enters. But Suzi didn't stop there. Instead of fading quietly into rock history, she found new ways to share her passion, this time behind the microphone at BBC Radio 2. With her quick wit, deep musical knowledge, and decades of rock tales, she brought listeners closer to the music and the movement she helped shape. Even now, Suzi Quatro isn't just living her legacy, she's still writing it. Imagine this, the same woman who once roared through amplifiers and shattered glass ceilings in leather and lace, now captivating audiences through the quiet intimacy of the radio. Suzi Quatro's first radio show, Rockin' with Suzi Q, wasn't just another program, it was an experience. Listeners didn't tune in just for the music, they tuned in for her stories, her laughter, her first-hand memories of rock's golden era. Through every word, she pulled fans into the heart of the music that shaped generations. Riding the wave of that success, she launched another hit, Wake Up Little Suzi, infused with the same fire but with a fresh twist. The show carried her trademark authenticity, that rare blend of grit and warmth that made her feel less like a DJ and more like an old friend guiding you through rock's history. Fans couldn't get enough. With radio, Suzi proved yet again that her magic wasn't confined to a stage or a bass guitar. She could command a microphone just as powerfully as she once commanded a crowd. She wasn't just a performer anymore, she was a storyteller, a curator, a living bridge between eras of rock. And even as her star blazed across the airwaves, Suzi's personal life was writing its own story. In 1976, at the height of her fame, she took another leap, marrying her longtime guitarist and creative partner, Len Tuckey. It was more than romance, it was a duet of souls united by rhythm and rebellion. Together, they made music, toured the world, and raised 2 children, all while navigating the intense, unpredictable rhythm of rock and roll life. But even the strongest chords can face dissonance. As the years went on, their marriage, though built on music and love, faced its share of challenges. Yet through it all, Suzi Quatro's resilience never faltered, both as an artist and as a woman determined to live life on her own terms. By 1992, the leather-clad queen of rock found herself facing a very different kind of stage, one called change. After 16 years together, Suzi Quatro and her husband, Len Tuckey, decided to part ways, closing the curtain on a defining chapter of her personal life. But the echoes of their years together still lingered in the walls of their grand manor house, a stately estate they had bought back in 1980, nestled near Chelmsford in Essex, England. That manor wasn't just bricks and mortar, it was a symbol of success, stability, and family. It was where their children grew up, a private haven far from the glare of stage lights and screaming crowds. After the divorce, Suzi chose to stay, filling the halls with the warmth of family and the rhythm of her dual life as both rock icon and devoted mother. Then came a new rhythm. In 1993, Suzi remarried, this time to German concert promoter Rainer Haas. With Haas, she found someone who understood the relentless pace of the music world. Their marriage wasn't just romantic, it was grounded in shared passion and mutual respect, giving Suzi the emotional balance she needed while continuing her legendary career. Family, however, remained her heart's center. In 2006, her daughter and grandchild moved back into the Essex Manor, reviving the laughter, love, and liveliness that once filled the home. For a while, it felt like old times again, a full house, a full heart. But as life often does, things shifted again. By 2008, the children had moved out, and the once bustling home grew quiet. Suzi openly admitted to feeling the sting of empty nest syndrome. To cope, she even put the manor up for sale, a decision that reflected both her longing for change and the bittersweet ache of letting go. Yet through it all, love, loss, fame, and family, Suzi Quatro has stayed rooted in the places that shaped her journey. The Essex Manor wasn't just her home, it was a mirror of her life's melody. Sometimes loud, sometimes tender, but always deeply human. Even after 5 decades in the limelight, Suzi Quatro remains as restless and unstoppable as ever. Splitting her time between Essex and Hamburg, she's built a life that mirrors her music, bold, boundary-crossing, and forever in motion. Hamburg, with its deep rock roots, offers her a cultural heartbeat, while Essex gives her a sense of home. Yet, she never strays too far from her beginnings in Detroit, the gritty city where her journey first began and her dream of rock stardom took flight. At 75, Quatro isn't just a rock icon, she's living proof that passion doesn't age. Leather jumpsuits, pounding bass lines, and a fire that refuses to fade have defined her legacy. But there's one story from her glittering career that still captures fans' curiosity: the electric chemistry between her and Chris Norman of Smokey. Their 1978 duet, Stumbling In, became a global phenomenon, sparking endless speculation about what really went on between the two stars. Now, looking back with the wisdom of experience, Quatro has finally opened up about that magical collaboration. Chris was without question one of the easiest people I ever worked with, she revealed. There was no ego with him, something that's incredibly rare in this business. From the first moment we sang together, there was just chemistry. It was almost effortless. Back then, Quatro was already a powerhouse solo act, while Norman's band Smokey was topping charts with their smooth blend of folk and soft rock. When producer Mike Chapman paired them for Stumbling In, neither expected the song to explode the way it did. We both thought it would just be another song, maybe a minor hit if we were lucky, Quatro admitted. Instead, it became a timeless anthem of connection, one that blurred the line between music and emotion, much like Suzi herself. No one could have predicted it, not even Suzi Quatro herself. The duet she recorded with Chris Norman shot to number 4 on the Billboard Hot 100, becoming a timeless anthem still sung nearly half a century later. That's the unpredictable magic of music. You never really know which song will steal hearts and live on. For Suzi, though, the moment was about far more than chart success. It was about connection, the kind that only happens when two artists completely trust each other. She recalls their studio sessions with a nostalgic smile. Chris had this warmth about him, she said. He wasn't just a great singer, he was a gentleman. I was used to being in control of my own music, but with Chris it just felt right to share the spotlight. There was no rivalry, no ego, just two musicians creating something special. Naturally, fans have spent decades speculating whether there was more than just musical chemistry between them. Suzi has never denied their closeness, but she's always been clear about what it really was. People love to imagine romances behind the scenes, she laughed. The truth is, we adored each other, but it was about the music. We were both married and respected that.
What we had was friendship and a creative spark that made something timeless. Honestly, that's even more special. Looking back, Quatro sees Stumbling In not just as a hit, but as a turning point, a softer reflection of her identity. I'll always be the leather-clad rocker with the bass guitar, but for millions, I'll also always be the voice on that duet with Chris, and I'm proud of that. It showed another side of me, softer, more vulnerable, but still strong. Even after all these years, that bond hasn't faded. Suzi Quatro and Chris Norman still reconnect for interviews and anniversary specials, slipping effortlessly back into the same rhythm they shared in the studio decades ago. "Chris is one of those people you don't forget," she said with a fond smile. "When we see each other now, it's like no time has passed at all." That sense of timeless connection is rare, and Quatro knows it. We slip right back into that easy camaraderie we had in the studio all those years ago. That's something I truly treasure. For her, the magic of their duet endures, not just because of its melody, but because of what it represents. She explains, "It's about love that's uncertain, about finding your way through something new and exciting. And everyone can relate to that, because we've all stumbled into love or something unexpected that changed our lives." Now at 75, Suzi Quatro remains unstoppable, touring, recording, and inspiring generations who see her as the definition of fearless artistry. Yet when she looks back on her journey, one moment still shines brightest. "That song was a gift," she says softly, "and Chris was part of that gift. I'll always be grateful for the music we made together and for the memories that have lasted a lifetime." Decades later, Suzi Quatro and Chris Norman's voices still meet somewhere between nostalgia and forever. Two souls still stumbling in, and still unforgettable.